Imagine your boyfriend take you on a mission, but there is a catch, and that is, your boyfriend is Adam 22, meaning that one way or another, you're being eaten out by others. So with you sitting down in the corner of your room, let's begin our recap. A woman's voice echoes through the darkness, pleading desperately, while multiple massive grasshoppers feast on her living flesh with ruthless hunger. The woman begs them to please kill her, to just let her die instead, as tears stream down her bloodied face and mix with the dirt beneath her. The scene shifts to a group of people standing together in what appears to be a secluded area, with one of them addressing Hyunshin to think this through very carefully before making any rash decisions. No one knows there's a hidden dungeon located here in this remote location. If they clear it themselves and keep their mouths shut about the entire operation, that's literally all they need to do. One of the girls voices her strong agreement with the plan they're discussing. They're professional hunters for crying out loud, but the guild only pays them minimum wage for clearing a standard dungeon like some kind of joke. Hyunshin responds that all right, they should definitely clear it themselves and keep all the profits. Everyone becomes startled when one of the other girls nervously suggests that maybe they shouldn't go inside this mysterious place. She means it could be really dangerous in there, more dangerous than they realize. Hyunshin places his arm on her shoulder in what seems like a comforting gesture and calls out to Choi directly. He asks when they will ever get another golden chance like this again in their entire careers. Everyone's totally on board with the plan, so why is she the only one hesitating like this right now? Does she really have to embarrass him in front of the entire team like some kind of coward? Choi trembles nervously and says that's not what she meant at all. She's not trying to be difficult. She's just genuinely worried that bugs are going to pop up again like what happened during their last mission together. Hyunshin asks Choi in an annoyed tone how long she's going to keep being scared of bug-type monsters as a supposed tank. Doesn't she remember exactly how everyone struggled and nearly died because of her irrational fear? If it's that hard for her to do her basic job, she should just quit the team, because they don't need a C-rank tank that badly anyway. But does Choi really think she could get into another decent guild without his direct help and recommendation? Choi fearfully responds that she definitely couldn't manage that on her own. Hyunshin tells her good, she made the right choice and she just needs to trust him completely and follow his lead without questioning his decisions. Choi thinks to herself that he's absolutely right about this whole situation. It's thanks to Hyunshin that she even managed to get into this guild in the first place, when no one else would take her. She was being way too selfish with her concerns and fears. Hyunshin grins widely and reminds her that he's her boyfriend, so of course he's saying all this because he genuinely cares about her well-being and future success. She knows exactly how he feels about her and their relationship, right? Choi responds, yeah, and thanks Hyunshin sincerely for everything he's done for her career. She tells herself internally that Hyunshin's the only person in this world who loves her, despite all her obvious flaws and weaknesses as a hunter. Hyunshin asks if they should go ahead then with their plan, and since she's the designated tank for their party, she needs to go in first to scout ahead. Choi stutters nervously and agrees to go first as requested. Choi tells herself that she doesn't want to disappoint Hyunshin any more than she already has with her constant fear and hesitation. The group enters the mysterious dungeon, with Choi reluctantly taking the dangerous lead position as always. Choi steps inside the dark entrance and immediately faces multiple enormous monster grasshoppers waiting for them like an ambush. One of the team members screams, "What the hell?" asking in pure panic why there are so many of these horrifying creatures in here. The grasshoppers leap toward them aggressively with their razor-sharp legs as the man in the red jacket yells frantically to group them up and kill them as quickly as possible. The other girl tells him to worry about himself first before giving orders to everyone else. Hyunshin shouts loudly to Choi that they'll take care of these monsters from behind. She just needs to hang in there and hold the defensive line no matter what. Choi responds, yeah, as she desperately attempts to stop the massive grasshoppers from advancing toward her vulnerable teammates. Inside her head, she keeps telling herself to hold on no matter what terrible things happen. If she can somehow endure this brutal assault, the others can safely take out all the monsters from a distance. Choi receives multiple deep cuts across her face and lets out a piercing scream of agony, but she holds her position steadfast and tells herself not to panic under any circumstances. They're almost finished with the fight, she just needs to last a little longer. One of the girls shouts in terror that there's way too many of these creatures for them to handle safely. Hyunshin becomes genuinely frightened as the team asks him desperately what they should do now in this hopeless situation. Choi maintains her defensive stance while bleeding heavily from multiple severe wounds across her body. She says to herself that it hurts so incredibly much and she honestly can't hold on much longer like this. How long does she have to keep this brutal defense up against these monsters? Choi calls out desperately to Hyunshin to give her a healing spell immediately. She can't take this unbearable pain anymore. The 4 team members suddenly run away from the battle in complete panic as Choi asks herself in shock why they're running away from her like cowards. How can they just abandon her and leave her behind like this? Choi screams Hyunshin's name desperately as he looks back and calls her a complete idiot. He told her specifically to hold the defensive line until they finished. Choi drops her heavy shield and rushes frantically toward the gate, telling Hyunshin to wait for her to catch up with them. One of the girls asks if he's completely crazy because Choi's still trapped inside the dangerous dungeon. Hyunshin responds, so what if she is? He tells them angrily to let go of him immediately. The team shuts the heavy iron door behind Choi as she screams no at the top of her lungs in desperation. She slams against the door frantically with her fists, telling them to open it right now. She pleads desperately for them to open the door, calling out to Hyunshin specifically for help. Choi can hear the girl asking Hyunshin if he's completely insane because she's supposed to be his girlfriend. Hyunshin shouts back, asking who cares about girlfriends right now? They're all going to die horribly if they stay in this place. He insists that Choi will totally understand his difficult decision later, when she thinks about it rationally. The grasshoppers let out a terrifying roar that startles Choi completely as she looks back at the sealed gate in horror. She tells herself that this isn't the time to be acting like this at all. She has to survive first, no matter what it takes. As long as she stays alive somehow, Hyunshin will definitely come back to save her from this nightmarish place. Choi sprints deeper into the dungeon desperately and notices a large ancient skeleton with a mysteriously glowing orb positioned between its ribcage bones. Choi thinks to herself, wondering what that strange magical object could possibly be. A small tree sapling appears out of nowhere and offers her the mysterious orb, which she takes hesitantly and holds carefully in her trembling hands. The orb transforms into an ornate ring right in her palms. Choi thinks to herself that this could actually be a rare hidden item of some kind. She wears the ring immediately on her finger and a glowing notification appears saying parasitic ring with EX rank status. Choi tells herself that she totally knew it was something incredibly special. The notification explains in detail that it influences the wearer's growth dramatically and affects the wearer's entire life significantly. It also regenerates the wearer continuously during battle situations. Death becomes completely impossible until the mysterious hatching process is entirely finished. Choi stares with a fearful expression on her face and asks if that's really it. How is she supposed to properly use this mysterious and powerful item? A bunch of grasshoppers suddenly leap toward her viciously and begin eating her alive brutally with their sharp mandibles. Choi begs desperately for someone to please save her from this absolute nightmare. The monsters continue eating her living flesh as she screams in pure agony. Choi becomes completely tearful and cries that it hurts so much and begs them to stop this horrible torture. Please just stop. The ring activates automatically as a glowing message appears stating that death is impossible until hatching is completely finished. Choi starts screaming hysterically and begins panting heavily from complete shock and disbelief. She asks, what just happened to her? Did she actually come back to life somehow? But how is that even remotely possible? Choi looks up with her eyes opened wide in total disbelief and confusion. The grasshoppers are still waiting eagerly to eat her alive again and again. They leap toward her once more by stabbing her directly in the back with their sharp legs. Choi screams in absolute agony as the exact same message appears again, stating that death is impossible until hatching is completely finished. Choi trembles uncontrollably and begs for someone to help her immediately. She doesn't want to die like this over and over in an endless cycle. A mantis stabs her again brutally as she screams her lungs out from pure agony and desperation. The mantis begins eating her alive as Choi screams, pleading with them to please stop eating her. She begs them to just stop this endless torture. She calls out to Hyunshin desperately, begging him to please save her from this living hell. Choi looks up at the monster that's about to strike her again and says no before getting killed once more in the cycle. The notification keeps popping up about 1,000 different times until Choi thinks to herself, wondering how long she's actually been trapped here in this endless nightmare. Has it been years already of this torture? No, maybe it's been decades of this horrible existence. More importantly, when will she finally be allowed to die peacefully? Is she just gonna live here forever as food for these disgusting creatures? Choi looks to her side and notices that's definitely her sword lying there in the dirt. So it was lying right here all along, this entire time, waiting for her. Hyunshin gave it to her as a special birthday present last year. That complete bastard actually left her behind to die. She told him clearly that she didn't want to go inside this cursed place, and he pushed her in anyway for some stupid hidden item. He's gonna kill him when she finally gets out of here. Choi grabs her sword firmly and starts slaying the monsters aggressively as a message pops up saying, "Monster defeated, strength increases by 2 points." Choi asks what's happening to her stats right now. The monsters roar again threateningly as Choi realizes her stats are going up this easily. Choi kills another monster, which gives her accuracy +1 point, and killing the other monster grants her stamina +1 point as a notification appears, stating that the wounds sustained during battle are healing automatically. Choi says she totally gets it now after all this time. She finally understands exactly how to use this incredible and powerful item. She begins laughing hysterically like a complete psychopath who's totally lost her mind. She tells the monsters to come at her right now, calling them worthless bastards and promising she's going to kill every single last one of them. She will definitely get out of this place no matter what it takes. Hyunshin, her so-called boyfriend, who abandoned her to die. He should just wait for her a little bit longer because she's coming for him. All of the massive grasshoppers lie slain across the dungeon floor as Choi continues her relentless advance through the dark corridors, until one of the remaining creatures manages to stab her straight through her stomach with its razor-sharp appendage. Choi stays trembling from the shock and pain as the parasitic ring activates automatically and heals her wounds completely, allowing her to kill the monster while screaming that damn bastard with pure rage. She winces and says, "OWW, that disgusting thing went straight through her entire body like a spear." She grabs the grasshopper's severed limb and pulls it out of her stomach with a sickening sound, as more of those horrifying monsters start screeching loudly in the distance. Choi tells them aggressively to come at her again, calling them pathetic freaks who don't stand a chance. The remaining grasshoppers start backing away from her in obvious fear, as Choi asks mockingly, what's the matter with them? Are they too scared to fight back against her now? They suddenly lunge at her desperately, as Choi continues to slash them brutally, while laughing maniacally, like someone who's completely lost their mind. Choi says with genuine excitement that this is actually fun for the first time. So this is what being genuinely stronger feels like, and it's absolutely awesome. She wants to kill way more monsters, as many as possible. Choi jumps high into the air and makes a powerful fist, while screaming for them to just die already. She slams her fist into the stone floor with tremendous force, and all the remaining grasshoppers fly off in different directions from the impact. All of them are completely dead as Choi stands up triumphantly, and a glowing message appears saying Sanctum of Eternity cleared, all dungeon entities eliminated. Time recorded was exactly 434 hours, now checking available rewards. Choi looks up at the notification as another message says she has successfully reached a rank status. The heavy dungeon door opens slowly as Choi says to herself with confusion that it's over already. Well, she guesses it was way too long of a battle anyway. She spots one of the monsters, still trembling weakly in pain on the ground, as Choi steps on it deliberately and crushes it completely under her boot. She starts laughing hysterically and says it's definitely time to head out and tear those shitty bastards apart one by one. One of the girls yells angrily at Hyunshin, asking how could he possibly trap Hyun Choi in there and shut the door behind her? She's supposed to be your girlfriend. He bosses her around all the time, but now he just throws her away like garbage? Hyunshin responds defensively that if they had stayed there waiting for her, they would all be dead by now, without question. She ran away too, so why is she coming at him like this? The girl screams, what did he just say? Is he actually done talking about this? One of the men says, yeah, well, someone's got to survive this situation, right? The other girl says sarcastically, aw, poor baby is hurting because they were both just lowly C ranks in the guild. The first girl screams, so what, higher ranks are gods now in this world? She has had it completely with all of them, and she's totally done. Once they get out of here, she's exposing everything he did to the authorities. One of the men asks what she means by that threat. The woman responds that it doesn't matter if someone dies in a dungeon during a mission. Hyunshin has a sinister grin spreading across his face and says to Nara directly, what if they left her behind this time permanently? Nara asks what he could possibly mean by that. Hyunshin says does she really think a C rank like herself could make it out of a dangerous B rank dungeon completely alone? Nara becomes visibly scared and says Hyunshin's name with fear. Hyunshin places his hand on Nara's shoulder and asks why she's looking all scared like that. Look, he's just saying they should all walk out of here peacefully together, yeah? Honestly, it's Choi who fell behind them in the first place, when suddenly the stone wall breaks apart completely, as Choi walks through calmly saying, "Wait, everyone's still here waiting?" It's been a long time since she's seen them, hasn't it? Hyunshin thinks to himself in shock that Hyun Choi is here. Long time no see? What kind of crazy crap is that supposed to mean? More importantly, how the hell did she manage to survive that nightmare? Nara says Hyun Choi's name in disbelief. Hyunshin immediately hugs her tightly and says, "Choi, she's actually alive and breathing." He's so incredibly sorry that he couldn't save her from that place. But she had absolutely no choice in the matter, and he did it for everyone's sake and survival. Choi says calmly that she totally gets it. Hyunshin understands her position. Hyunshin grins widely and thinks to himself that of course she would understand the situation. Hyunshin backs away from the hug and says thanks sincerely. He figured she would understand because she's always been so kind and forgiving. That's their Choi, always so understanding. Hyunshin looks directly at Choi's face, while grinning as his heart suddenly drops with dread. Hyunshin thinks to himself with growing concern that her clothes are completely torn up and destroyed, but there's not a single visible scratch anywhere on her body. Something's definitely not right about this situation. One of the men puts his hand on her shoulder friendly and says, "Hey Choi, thanks for being so understanding about everything." He's seriously glad that she made it back alive and well. Now they can go take down the boss monster together again like old times. Choi laughs genuinely and asks, "Wait, he didn't beat it yet without her? They were actually waiting for her to return? Thanks a ton for that consideration." Hyunshin thinks to himself that maybe he's just being completely paranoid about the whole thing. The man laughs heartily and says he just couldn't bring himself to leave her behind permanently because she has no idea how incredibly heavy his heart felt. Hyunshin just stands there in complete silence as they walk off together. Choi smiles sweetly as Hyunshin says, "Yeah, he's probably just imagining things that aren't there." The scene cuts to another hunting expedition where they spot a dire knuckle C-rank boss monster waiting for them. Hyunshin looks at the massive monster carefully and tells everyone to get ready for battle. "Let's do this exactly like they always do in these situations." Hyunshin says to Choi that she should draw the monster's aggro and the rest of them will strike when the timing is absolutely right. The man says okay enthusiastically. Hyunshin tells Choi to make sure she keeps the monster's attention locked completely on her position. Choi says she's got it covered as Hyunshin says, "All right, let's stick to the established plan." He gets cut off suddenly by Choi dashing in recklessly. The man yells out, "Wait, where the hell is she going on her own like that?" Hyunshin shouts, "Hey, Choi, what are you doing?" Choi puts down her heavy shield deliberately and screams loudly at the monster. The monster roars back threateningly as Hyunshin says she's pulling way too much aggro at once. Is she completely insane right now? Hyunshin shouts for everyone to get behind Hyun Choi immediately. The monster starts sprinting directly towards her with murderous intent, as Hyunshin says it's totally fine because it's just a B-rank boss, no big deal at all. As long as Choi tanks up front, like always, they'll be perfectly good. Choi dashes up toward the monster as Hyunshin looks up in complete shock and disbelief. Hyunshin thinks to himself in panic that she actually ran away from her position. The man says that complete jerk. If she dodges like that, then he's going to get hurt. And he screams loudly as the monster rams directly towards him and puts its sharp thorns deep into his body. Nara and the other woman look on in pure agony as Hyunshin stands there in total shock and confusion. Choi jumps gracefully onto the monster's back and tells the injured man that must have hurt really badly. She laughs coldly and says, "Oops, her bad for that mistake, she was just so scared that she dodged by complete accident." He totally gets it, right? Choi rides the massive monster skillfully and makes the entire team jump frantically out of the way to avoid being trampled. Hyunshin screams desperately at the top of his lungs, asking if Hyun Choi is completely out of her mind? What the hell does she think she's doing right now? Choi asks casually what it looks like she's doing, as if the answer should be obvious to everyone. Hyunshin screams frantically for her to come on and quit fooling around like this and get down from there immediately. Choi glares at him with cold, menacing eyes and asks if he thinks fooling around is what this is. Does he really think this is just some kind of joke to her? Hyunshin looks at her in stunned silence, unable to comprehend what's happening as Choi says all right then with a sinister tone. Let's see who survives the longest between all of them. She uses the monster deliberately to stomp aggressively at them with murderous intent. Hyunshin and everyone runs off frantically while screaming in absolute terror for their lives. They all pant heavily in complete exhaustion from running so desperately. The woman asks breathlessly what do they do now in this impossible situation. Hyunshin says between gasps that he'll keep casting heal spells from the back, while she focuses on tanking the monster. He has basic attack skills too, so he'll contribute whatever he can to the fight. The woman says, wait just a second here. She has never tanked against a boss monster before in her entire life. Hyunshin screams, desperately asking if that's really the main issue right now. If they don't act immediately, they're all going to die horribly. If she doesn't want to die, she needs to do exactly what he says. He's supposed to be the leader here. The woman says damn it under her breath in frustration. Hyunshin holds his head in his hands and says he'll back her up completely, she just needs to hold her ground firmly. They can definitely get out of here alive if they work together. Choi asks mockingly if everyone is done talking now. Then let's start this fight again, shall we? The woman holds her sword tightly and thinks to herself in complete confusion how a C-rank hunter is handling a B-rank boss monster so easily. Hyunshin screams desperately for her to stop this madness. The woman screams while trying her best to guard against the attack. Hyunshin says she blocked it successfully, but the monster goes straight through her guard effortlessly and flings her body violently until her blood is splattered all over the dungeon walls. Hyunshin looks at her mangled form with fearful, horrified eyes. Choi says with genuine confusion, what the hell is up with this monster? Why is it so incredibly strong compared to what they expected? She checks the monster's status carefully and discovers it's actually a dire knuckle, a rank creature. Choi thinks to herself in growing confusion that it's an A-rank monster, but isn't it supposed to be just a C-rank according to their information? She checks the buff status indicator and notices it has a blessing of something mysterious. Choi asks what this strange effect could be. The monster is under someone's powerful blessing, apparently. She thinks to herself, wondering if this is related to the parasitic ring somehow. Could this be the hidden effect of a rare hidden item? That's definitely interesting. Choi says with annoyance that, whatever the case, let's just take care of that problem first before worrying about details. Choi almost stomps directly on Hyunshin until he pants desperately out of complete exhaustion and fear. Choi asks mockingly if he's still hanging in there after all this. Hyunshin manages to gasp out her name weakly. She responds with cold indifference, asking what he wants now. Hyunshin thinks to himself desperately that seeing how easily she's controlling that massive creature, she definitely obtained a powerful hidden item from that hidden dungeon. That must be exactly why her whole personality changed so dramatically too. Hyunshin says with genuine remorse that he's sorry, Choi. Choi's eyes open wide in surprise at his apology. Hyunshin gets down on his knees in a submissive position as Choi asks with curiosity what he's sorry for specifically. Hyunshin says with shame for abandoning her completely and running away like a coward. Choi says coldly, and what else? Hyunshin says for closing the heavy door and trapping her inside. Choi asks again, with growing irritation, and what else? Hyunshin says for forcing her to understand his selfish decisions. Choi asks once more with obvious annoyance, and what else? Hyunshin says desperately just everything he did. Everything he did was completely wrong and selfish. Choi says with disappointment that Hyunshin, this is exactly what's wrong with him as a person. It's wrong. Does he seriously not understand why she's so incredibly angry with him? Hyunshin asks with confusion what she means by that. Choi says it's just one simple thing that he's missing. Hyunshin asks then, could she please tell him what it is? Yeah, sure, let's go with that approach. Choi says with cold fury that the real problem is his own pathetic existence in this world. You complete bastard. She stomps on him brutally, crushing him under her boot with tremendous force. Choi starts laughing hysterically and looks down at his broken form before getting down and saying, ah, right, she's still alive over there, isn't she? Nara is her name. Nara trembles uncontrollably and remains completely speechless from terror. Choi asks casually if she wants to continue living. Nara says with desperation that, yes, yeah, please let her live, she'll do anything. Choi remembers clearly Nara saying to Hyunshin earlier if he was crazy because Hyun Choi hadn't come out yet from the dungeon. Hyunshin had responded so what, and told her to let go of him. Choi looks at her directly and smiles eerily before saying fine. Then, from now on she had better listen very carefully to everything. Nara says yes, of course she will. Choi explains that she's only being spared because she tried to stop him from closing the door on her. Let's not forget our basic humanity in all this, alright? Nara says yeah, she totally gets it now. Choi says there's one more important thing as the monster starts dashing aggressively towards them both. Nara asks with confusion, what's happening? Choi grabs her sword firmly and says if she ever says the wrong thing to betray her. She cuts the massive monster cleanly into 2 perfect halves with a single, devastating strike. Choi asks with a threatening smile if she gets it now. Nara says yeah frantically. Yes, she absolutely gets it. Choi says good. They are in the same boat together now. Nara says same boat. Right. They're partners now. Choi says ominously that if she betrays her out there in the real world, she'll be dead immediately. Nara says yes. Totally understood. Choi says alright then, let's head out of this place. Oh right, they need to grab all the valuable mana stones first. Nara says oh right, of course they do. Choi brings out tons of high-quality mana stones as the guild workers look at her in complete shock and disbelief. It's the prestigious Hanshin Guild dungeon management team waiting outside. One of the workers asks with concern, hey, what happened to all the others in your party? To all the others? Choi says casually that they are all dead, unfortunately. Nara says nervously that the boss monster suddenly ranked up unexpectedly, so everyone tried their best to protect them, but didn't make it out alive. Choi laughs quietly as Nara says with fake emotion that she's crying right now from grief. The workers look at her in suspicious silence. Nara says they kinda got wiped out too, so they will just leave the mana stones here and head inside first to report. That's it for now, if that's okay. One of the men says with growing suspicion that 3 B-rank hunters died, but 2 C-rank hunters came back alive from what was supposed to be a simple C-rank dungeon. Hyun Choi and Shim Nara specifically. The man demands they explain everything that happened in there, without leaving a single detail out. The speaker reveals himself as the Hanshin Guild's guildmaster, An Baekdeok, who happens to be An Hyunshin's uncle. The guildmaster is shouting at them that what they are showing now is how the knuckle grade has increased. He shouts at them that their main goal was to deal with the dealers, and they could not even do that. All Choi can do is yawn. Nara cannot believe that this girl is acting all this chill after killing the people, because if they find out that she killed those inside there, they both are going to jail. The guildmaster is all pissed that it had to be Hyunshin who died, because he is worried about what he is going to feel when his dad looks at this guildmaster. Choi watches him and says to herself that he is always crying about being broke, but it seems like he has enough time to buy luxury. The suit that he is still wearing is also from a well-known designer, and he came with a great sports car. She is clearly crying that they are playing with their lives and getting only minimum wages, while he is too busy spending his money. She sees that this is making the other workers provoked too. She cannot understand why she is acting like this, as normally she would have been trembling like a criminal, standing behind Hyunshin without saying anything. She says to them that whatever happens, they are going to be the ones to take the responsibility. The guildmaster orders the workers to find the next dungeon. Nara tries to reason with him that this is not right, but he scolds her that they are already short on hunters and staff, and already good hunters have died. He is all pissed that now he is going to struggle to find more hunters without the help of Hyunshin. He sighs that Choi should have been the one to die instead of her boyfriend, but he thinks that he can still make good use of her C rank. This becomes the final straw for Choi. She goes up and gives a good kick to his desk. Everyone is in utter shock, while she is happy for being able to hit at the right place. She scoffs at him to stop whining. She thinks to herself that if he is that short on hunters and money, why does he not go to the dungeons himself? The guildmaster is barely hiding that now that her boyfriend is gone, she is showing her true colors. She starts to laugh that the way he speaks is similar to Hyunshin, and she really does not like this family history at all. She says to him that she is indeed crazy, and that his precious nephew died in her place. He does not seem to understand what she is trying to say. She also tells him that she is going to leave the guild too, as he should have done things right when he still had the chance, and to accept it or she is going to give him another hit. She even drops $1 for him to take care of his nephew's expenses, as he needs to take care of his final journey. She says that she will be leaving now, since she is super tired. Now at Nara's home, wearing her shirt, she asks Nara if she is into rock bands, but Nara says no, she just got it at the regular store. Choi says that she could not buy these things as Hyunshin did not like them, but Nara is like she can now, since he is dead. This makes Choi super happy that he is dead and that she is the one who killed him. Nara, seeing this all, is scared to death every time she does that. Nara then asks her what she came to her place for, as it is not like she has no place to live. But Choi asks her if she could stay here for a while, as she used to share life with Hyunshin and she does not want to go there. Nara has nothing to say because she is scared that if she refuses, she might kill her, so she says that if it is for a while, it is okay. Nara has also left the guild, so she asks her what Choi is going to do now, and if she has got any guild that she has been thinking about. but Choi is like no one. Nara asks how she is going to manage her expenses, and Choi says that she got 20 million won, so she might be able to work. But Nara is confused why she only has this much when they heard that her boyfriend was the one who used to pay for the bills and food. She is like, no, he only did the deposit, the rent used to get split. Nara cannot believe this, but she is more worried about the fact that she has no plan, which means she is going to stick around her house, and she really does not want this. Nara asks her what she is going to do, more like some job or what. Choi is like right now she does not feel like doing anything, as she already got what she wanted, so she is not sure what she wants to do next. Nara asks what it was. Choi happily says of course killing Hyunshin. Nara is like, thanks for sparing her though. While Choi is actually enjoying her reaction, Nara asks if she would like to eat, saying they can have pig feet and chicken feet, but Choi is not sure because Hyunshin would not let her eat at this time so that she does not get fat. Nara is all angry that indeed, that bastard deserved to die so badly. Choi wonders why Nara is this angry. Nara is like, what the hell, anyone who hears this will be. Choi is happy as she has no one to stand against her. Nara is like, whatever, and they should sleep, but again, she cannot sleep, making her starve, so they plan to order some pig feet later that night. Nara is sleeping when Choi thinks about the stuff that she wants to do, and that she has not thought about this in a long time. For now, she just does not want to go to the dungeons, and she does not want to be part of any guild. She just wants to rest and live comfortably, doing odd jobs here and there. As she closes her eyes, they widen as she wakes up from stomach pain, making her wonder if she has got something in her stomach. Hyun Choi is able to feel something inside her stomach, and she senses it vividly. This sensation is because of the ring that she is wearing, so she plans to remove it for now. However, the system pops up, informing her that it is a parasitic ring that cannot be removed after being worn. It is a bound item. Even so, she thinks that it might still be possible to take it off. The name of the ring is also strange, but her stubbornness does not care for such details, and she is back at trying to remove it. As she continues, something begins to glow in her stomach, and she feels a strange kind of pain. Basically, to sum it up, she cannot possibly remove it of her own will. It cannot be removed until the hatching is complete. Hyun Choi has already seen this message inside the dungeon, but she does not know what exactly is supposed to hatch. The thing really saved her life, but that does not mean that she can simply rest like this. She truly needs to remove it, so first, she needs to gather more information about this item. The official route is out of the question because an EX-grade item getting revealed to the world will only create a great hassle for her. That means she will have to turn toward the illegal route, and just like that, she spends her whole night wondering. Now the next day, during the ride, Hyun Choi tells Nara that she wants to live with her, but Nara is absolutely against it, saying that it is impossible. Hyun Choi insists that it will be fine if she pays the rent, but Nara is still not convinced, as the space is already small. Hyun Choi then suggests that they move into a bigger house instead. It is certainly tempting, but Nara is still not willing to agree. Hyun Choi then says that in that case, she can simply wait until she gets enough money, and then she will leave on her own. Nara asks her how she is going to make money since she already quit the guild yesterday. Hyun Choi declares that she will simply find a job and participate in a dogfight. Nara is stunned and thinks that Hyun Choi has completely lost her mind, wondering why she would even do that. But Hyun Choi insists that Nara just needs to wait because she is going to make money for her too. A dog fight is not about animals but about awakened people being thrown naked into the ring to fight against each other, while others place bets on the winning side to take the money. It is another name for illegal combat gambling. Nara warns her that her rank is not C, and it is fraudulent to hide one's real rank, but Hyun Choi only smirks and does not care. After all, her license still states that she is C rank, and although it is still an illegal place, a little fraud will not make much difference. Nara finally understands and is all in to make some money. This makes Hyun Choi genuinely happy. They finally reach the dogfight arena, but it looks more like a supply store from the outside. Hyun Choi says that they will just go inside and confirm it, but Nara is worried about what if this is not the right place. They eventually make their way in and are met with an old granny. The old granny asks Hyun Choi what she is looking for, and Hyun Choi shows her license. The old granny sighs, saying that there are many like her, and it would be better if she just joins a guild instead. Hyun Choi tells her that she already quit the guild yesterday, but the old granny insists that if she is truly a C rank, it should be easy for her to just go and find another guild. Hyun-choi explains that she is actually taking a break from all of this and simply wants to rest. The granny looks at her with disapproval, as if Hyun-choi is acting like a brat. But upon seeing Hyun-choi's creepy smile, the granny remarks that she looks like someone who has killed before, and she wonders why someone like her would even come to a place like this. Hyun-choi turns sweet and insists that there is no way she would ever do something like that. Still, the granny argues that she has come to the wrong place. Hyun-choi leans in and asks what it would take to get her inside. The old granny shushes her, urging her to be quiet. Hyun-choi then asks if they take card payments, and upon swiping her card, the granny tells her to bring cash next time, since with cards, they take an extra 10%. After that, the granny instructs them to follow the hallway. While walking toward the arena, Nara mutters that the entrance fee is outrageously high, but Hyun-choi does not care, since she has plenty of money to spare. They finally get inside the arena, where the gambling is happening. Hyun-choi looks around and notices that Nara is not by her side. She sees Nara at the counter, depositing the cash. When Nara comes back, Hyun-choi is staring straight at her. Nara snaps, demanding to know why she is staring at her like that. Hyun-choi scolds her, saying that she stayed completely silent at the entrance, and because of that, she ended up spending 1.1 million won. But Nara starts to laugh bitterly, saying that she has no extra money left to spare anyway. Hyun-choi then asks her if she even has enough money for the house deposit. The two of them begin to fight like crazy bitches right there, until someone approaches and asks if Hyun-choi is new. This is a really cool guy, who casually asks if he can sit with her. Hyun-choi lets him sit. The cool guy asks her why she is betting on the desert or the sea. Hyun-choi only smirks, as she is not here to make a bet, she is here to compete. She asks in return who he is going to bet on. He smiles, as if the answer is obvious, as if, of course, he has to bet on something strong like her. She finds it strange that this guy can see her rank. She tells him that people usually only bet on men, but he does not seem to be big on stereotypes. She starts to scan him, but her observing skills do not work on him. Her rank is A right now, which means this guy must be of the same rank or even higher, yet she wonders what an A-ranked hunter is doing in a place like this and exactly who this guy might be. This guy then asks her if she knows that this tournament has a rank cap of C. Hyun-choi grows quiet, staring at him. If that is the case, then why is he here? But he glares back and remarks that there is no way one can get in without having their license checked, and he even wonders if she has a fake registration or something. She scoffs at him and tells him to just focus on the match instead of poking his nose into things that are not his business. Nara intervenes, telling the man to stop, as they both clearly have real hunter licenses. He only shrugs, saying whatever, but Nara shouts at him again, calling him an old guy, and warns that if he is drunk, he should go home instead of picking fights with strangers. She is convinced that he is drunk, especially since his nose is red. Hyun-choi, however, disagrees, asking where exactly does this guy look old to Nara. To Hyun-choi, his face looks good, handsome even. Nara, shocked, exclaims at Hyun-choi, asking what on earth she is talking about, because this guy is clearly an old balding man. Hyun-choi argues back, saying the man has full, thick hair. This entire back and forth stirs up the situation and eventually makes the man laugh, truly laugh, as though he cannot help himself. He laughs so hard that it seems like Nara's words have crushed him inside, yet not in a way that causes pain, but in a way that breaks the seriousness of the moment. Hyun-choi cannot help but wonder if he is using some kind of magic spell to hide his identity. Finally, the match starts, and Nara shouts at the man to just watch it quietly. Hyun-choi takes note of the place, realizing it is mostly filled with awakeners or low-ranked hunters, If someone's rank is low, they cannot even recognize the man's real face. The fight begins, and Hyun-choi considers that the bald man, the one Nara has placed her bet on, might actually win this. This thought alone makes Nara happy, but the handsome man next to them suggests to her that she should change her bet while she still has the chance. The fight is underway, and it seems that the E-ranker has gained the upper hand. In fact, the E-ranked fighter is using dirty moves, and soon it becomes clear that this man has sharp teeth, something unnatural, something beastly. With that edge, it is definite that he is going to win. Nara is cursing under her breath, telling everyone not to jinx it for her. She remains convinced that the bald man she bet on will surely get up in the second round. Yet from the way the fight unfolds, It looks as though there will not be any second round at all. When the match ends, Nara's soul feels as if it has left her body after losing her 300 million won. The man smirks, remarking that she should have listened to him. Even Hyun Choi is laughing, thinking the fight was amazing. Nara, upset, grabs Hyun Choi by her collar, crying, demanding why she is laughing when she told her the D-rank guy was going to win, and asking what about her money. Hyun Choi glares at her, warning her to know her limits. Nara hurriedly lets go, apologizing, then quickly asks when Hyun Choi is going to fight, so she can bet on her too. Hyun Choi stands up, saying that she has changed her mind and is not going to fight anymore. Nara lashes out, reminding her that she said she was going to help with the money. Hyun Choi only sighs and tells her that she should be grateful she is not being slammed into the ground right now. Still, her thoughts linger on that mysterious guy, wondering if he is a criminal or someone using an illegal item. She calls out to him, addressing him as Mamu. The man asks if she is going to give up on the fight. Hyun Choi replies that since her hands are injured, she cannot fight, but since she lost money because of him, he will have to repay her. The man scoffs, asking why he should be doing that, and instead suggests that it would be better for her to join a guild and work properly instead of wasting her potential here. She replies that this is just a hobby for her, then pointedly asks about him using an illegal item. He brushes off her words, saying she is acting bold after scamming her way in here while pretending ignorance. She presses again, saying she wants access to the network he has, and asks him once more where he got that item. He cannot believe she is actually trying to step into the path of becoming a criminal, but he makes it clear that he has no intention whatsoever of telling her. She can see that he is really uptight, when suddenly, someone inside the room starts bragging loudly. It is the police, announcing their arrival to capture everyone involved. The man beside her says that it will be troublesome if he gets caught, and suggests it would be better if she simply admits she lost and leaves now. But she grabs his hand, refusing to let go. She tells him that he has two choices. Either he takes her to the place where he got that item, or he gets arrested here along with her. He shouts at her to stay the hell away from him, but she refuses, determined not to let this slip out of her hands. Finally, the officer arrives, and with no other option, he blows up the entire building before fleeing. While running, Hyun Choi asks him if it is really all right to blow the place up just like that. He only sighs and orders her to shut up and follow him. She then questions him about why he is even trying to go there, as it only makes him look like a real criminal. She insists that she has no such intention. All she wants is to get her item appraised because, for all she knows, she might be able to obtain something valuable. As they keep running, she turns to him again, this time asking about his rank. He smugly tells her that she can see it for herself. She frowns, replying that she cannot see it, but this only makes him more cocky. He declares that in that case, she should try raising her rank higher. He has a way of making things difficult for her, and despite all the running they have been doing, he still shows no signs of exhaustion. This convinces her that he is not someone with a mere rank, because even after such relentless sprinting, he is not huffing at all. It can only mean that this man belongs to a much higher rank. At last, they arrive at their destination. He unlocks the cave and tells her not to call him by his name, yet she reminds him that he has never told her his name to begin with. He sighs, remarking that she seems to be the only one who does not already know it. His name is Dong, and since they are both of the same age, he declares that they are going to drop all honorifics. When the gate opens, she is utterly stunned to see what lies inside. The place hidden within the cave leaves her in awe, and she wonders how anyone could even dig out such an elaborate underground space. Dong explains that hunters are the ones capable of creating such places. He further tells her that people with criminal records who awaken as hunters, or those who commit crimes after awakening, often end up working in places like these. She stares at him in disbelief, questioning how he could know so much about this kind of life. The realization hits her that he must have been an ex-criminal himself. She presses him further, asking what exactly he does now, and if perhaps he runs a guild like this. He admits that he is indeed affiliated with a guild, but which one he cannot reveal, since it is a secret. Soon, an old lady appears to appraise the ring Hyun Choi has brought, yet her reaction is suspicious, because she cannot seem to find anything unusual in it. She asks Hyun Choi from where she obtained the ring. Hyun Choi explains that she got it inside the dungeon, and since it is a bound item, it cannot be removed. The old granny grows more confused, because according to her knowledge, such an item is supposed to come off. Hyun Choi points out that she tried her best, but it never came out, which is why she has come here seeking help. Still, it seems like even these people cannot remove it. The old woman then asks her if she would allow her to try removing it. Hyun Choi agrees, but the very moment the granny makes the attempt, Hyun Choi feels the same stabbing pain in her stomach once again. She immediately tells the old woman that it always happens like this whenever she tries to remove the ring. It is indeed a strange item, and the old granny admits that she does not know who could properly appraise it. Still, she insists that she would like to know about its name. Hyun Choi lies, saying that the name only shows up as unknown because she cannot go around telling people the truth about it so easily. After this matter is finished, Hyun Choi gets up and her eyes immediately fall on a pair of shadow earrings. These earrings are said to have the power to conceal one's stats, and she realizes that if she can get her hands on them, then even an S-rank measurer will not be able to detect her true status. She asks the old lady about the price, and the reply comes as 101. The woman also remarks that it might not be of much use for someone like Hyun Choi, whose rank is so low, but Hyun Choi is not worried at all. She plans to pay with her card, yet since they do not accept cards here, Dong ends up being the one who pays for her. Afterward, she asks him if he is able to see her stats, but he tells her no. After all, she is A rank, and with these earrings, even an S rank or above will be unable to read her stats. She agrees, though she thinks to herself that it is not as if she will ever actually run into an S+ rank in her life. Dong, however, suggests otherwise, telling her that she might. She brushes it aside, claiming that they should be talking about her item, but then slips away, trying to look for more cool things. As she sits there, she begins to wonder whether she should seek out other appraisers to ask about her ring. But if she does that, there is always the risk of rumors spreading, and she cannot allow such news to leak. Still, she also cannot bring herself to just leave the matter unresolved. Suddenly, an idea strikes her. She can go back to that hidden dungeon. If she manages to return there, she might find a way to uncover the truth. There are a total of 11 hidden dungeons known, with one of them discovered in Korea, and 2 of them containing duplicates. Dungeons never truly disappear after being cleared. They reset over time. That means the hidden dungeon she went to must have reset by now as well. She resolves to check out as many dungeons as possible, because she intends to return the ring no matter what. But the problem is that in order to go there, she will need to be affiliated with a guild. This makes it clear that she will have to rejoin one. Meanwhile, Dong is seen trying to bargain with the old lady for the earrings. The woman questions him suspiciously, asking whether some new dungeon has recently appeared, because there is no way she could fail to recognize this kind of item. She also suspects that he must have cleared a dungeon. Without answering her, Dong simply hands over the money and leaves. Back in the present, Dong asks Choi what she is thinking about. Then he casually tells her that he has a hobby of collecting items. She stares at him, half amused and half unsettled, and retorts that even if he does not see it, this ring is not coming off. But he suddenly grabs her hand and says that there is always a way. He smirks, adding that if necessary, he will just take her entire finger, making her snap back that he has a nasty hobby. Leaning closer, he whispers that she went to that hidden dungeon, didn't she? This instantly makes her cautious, because it becomes obvious that he did not help her out of kindness at all.